You ain't nothing but it, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Every Christmas, everywhere around the world, people listen to Bing Crosby, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, written by Irving Berlin.
This is Gene Simmons from the group Kiss talking about fairness with people getting paid. I'm wondering if he's going to mention anything about streaming or anything like that.
Pennies for the airplay.
Pennies.
So let's play a game. Who's your favorite recording artist?
Kiss.
No, come on. Somebody from the past,
Like where we
present,
go
or
with
future.
that. All right, Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix has never, in his entire career or now, ever gotten paid a single penny when his music is played on AM and FM radio. The stunning fact is that the Russians and some other countries actually do pay performing artists on radio, land radio, AM, FM,
Right.
and Americans do not. And this has got to change and should change. Hey, look, I make a living, and people of my age and, who've climbed the mountain, clawed and scratched their way to the top, were blessed by the American dream because it is alive and I'm living proof of it. So I make a living. But the new artists, every penny counts. And the fact that they can be played on radio and not even make one penny for their performance is criminal.
So this
as
is
far as I'm
surprising to a
concerned.
lot of people. And we're on the radio right now. You see that big radio mic in front of you there? It's such a good radio show, Gene, they put it on TV. And I've been knocking around the radio business for a minute. We hear about BMI and ASCAP fees. Has this always been the case, or was it simply an exchange? You play my music for exposure, for publicity, and I sell tickets and I sell albums, and that's now out of balance. Is that what happened?
Artists are not interested in negotiating how their careers are built.
Understood.
Radio needs
Where did the
recording
ASCAP
artists.
BMI fees go?
ASCAP and BMI specifically relates to writers and publishers, which doesn't affect the masses whatsoever.
So is this radio's fault or your contract with the record company? How come the middleman isn't giving you money?
Nothing to do with the record company, because they make money when they sell records and writers and producers. This is the actual recording artist. You like Elvis? You like Sinatra? When you hear that song on the radio, the people we tuned in for actually never get paid.
Amazing.
Everybody else gets paid, the writers and the publishers and the advertising dollars. Radio last year made $14 billion. You know how much of that went to the Sinatra State or Tame Impala or all the new bands?
I think I'm getting
zero.
Yeah. Okay, that's in contrast to satellite radio,
But
digital
we're not
platforms.
talking about
No,
that.
I know, but I just want to square that you're suggesting the radio industry is behind the times because all of these other platforms
I'm not
are
suggesting
paying
anything. I'm stating fact that AM, FM radio is, well, I want to use language that doesn't get anybody legal involved.
Okay.
In the patois of the street, it's criminal.
Yeah.
You cannot. America's premise that if you work hard, you should get paid. So everybody's getting paid. When a radio station, AM and FM broadcasts, the executives get paid, the advertisers pay money, the billboards on the street, which use our name and likeness for free. If you use my name and likeness otherwise, I would take your firstborn and your house. But radio is allowed to do that. They keep $14 billion. And the new artist, by the way, who's trying hard to make it, is not going to make those precious pennies to help them survive. And that, my opinion is, it's criminal.
Listeners, you write in more likely today to discover new music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok. At the same time, more and more local stations have been bought up by big corporations like iHeart and Odyssey. They still play the music without paying the artists, often hits that listeners already know, in order to generate ad revenue. I've, as I mentioned, worked in radio for a while, and I've seen rampant.
The reason why I'm airing this and listening to this is because this is how Marshall Hayner got all with streaming. He found out through Bitcoin that they can get paid through streaming when the artist wasn't getting any money. So I'm just listening to see if there's anything like related to
I ran you
that.
over. I didn't mean to do it. Or I don't like you. I ran you over. What's the difference? You've been run over. So the question is an interesting dialectic, another big word like gymnasium. The result is nothing's changed. The artists are not getting paid. I mean, especially our children and our children's children are going to be the next generation superstars after they climb their way to the top and fight for it. What do they have forward to look? What do they have, looking forward? They're going to get 0 pennies when their songs are played on AM and FM radio, and that's insane.
Do you have the president's support on this? Did you talk to him?
I find it funny that he's not saying any dollars. He's mentioning pennies. Pennies just got discontinued, and pennies is copper, big thing. And loan is connected to pennies as well, too, right? Didn't loan post a penny?
But what else we talked about?
I find it interesting.
Okay.
He keeps mentioning pennies.
I didn't say that, but you're leading the witness, Your Honor.
Oh, not to. But I wouldn't think that would be.
Well, these are semantics, but I'm not anti-semantic.
I hope that you're not, because we wouldn't be able to do this.
It was a little clickbait there. What I talked, yes, I specifically said what I spoke with the president about is not for anybody else's consumption.
Okay.
There is such a thing as privacy.
I completely understand. I only ask you because so many lawmakers come on the air and say, if we get a directive from the president, we can make this work. What did you hear in the committee from members? Did you get a sense that there are votes on this?
I've heard a lot of support.
Yeah.
I met privately with Senator Marshall Blackman and Mr. Schiff. Both sides of the aisle seem, let's just say, as soon as Congress gets their act together, the president will sign this. I am convinced of it, my personal opinion.
Well, our audience should know, and you're talking to the business community right now, that you are no stranger to big business and some pretty shrewd moves. It was a Bloomberg report when you sold your publishing rights last year. Well, House Entertainment, $300 million.
It's not entirely accurate, so just here to correct it for the record.
Please.
An entity called Pop House, a futuristic company out of Sweden, came and bought Kiss, the underlying rights, the makeup, logos, as well as the writing publishing, for a respectable sum, enough to buy Rhode Island. I'll give you a pregnant pause so that this sinks in. But the future looks even more gargantuan than the past. We are in the middle of the first motion picture to be directed by McGee. There's an awful lot of stuff that I can't talk about because nobody wants to find out what they're going to get for Christmas in July.
Fair enough.
There's an enormous commitment
in July
by Pop House in the future of Kiss, and this is just the beginning. When you look at a caterpillar and you say, well, that's the end of its life, no. You're short-sighted. You don't understand that it's going into a cocoon, which is where we are now, and we're going to come out and defy gravity with beautiful wings and soar into heaven.
Very poetic.
I am kind of a big deal.
I've heard that, and a poet.
I was a fan, actually, of Bloomberg when he was mayor. Met the gentleman, and he struck me as a powerful and attractive man.
Well, I can only agree with that.
And I loved his algorithm that made him rich and fit, but that's another story.
Well,
algorithm, he's talking about that digital fractional shit.
I'm supposed to read somewhere, but with everything you just described, you just outlined the future of the music business. Why are you chasing down the old format?
Well, look, the old formats, if they worked and they were justified, should and would continue.
Yeah.
But tell me what your retort is.
It's a new format.
I know you're not retorted. How do you validate our stars, the people who fought their way to the top, never getting a cent for radio airplay? How do you validate that while radio is making $14 billion?
Radio's metal pay.
Again, I'm not demonizing them. It bears noting we need each other, but somewhere between paying artists $0 and $14 billion, there should be remember the name of the act is Fairness, American Music Fairness Act. You should let me talk more. I can increase more people will watch this instead of SpongeBob SquarePants. Come on.
Believe that. That's why you're here. Nobody gets this much time. That's right. Simmons. Okay, so you said a lot. Well, we consider the future of the music business. Do you worry about AI regulation? Do you worry about these fake-o bands coming up? Speaking of algorithms, and by the way, Mike Bloomberg is not only the boss here, but founder, chairman, Bloomberg LP.
That's right.
AI is a worry for you or not?
AI is a concern if left unregulated. Anything, beautiful horse that you just bring in, if it runs wild, you've got to have some parameters that we control instead of AI. Right now, there's a
Bloomberg
country
Radio.
Western Star that's got a #1 record of sorts on some chart. Doesn't actually exist.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Well, let me just go.
I'm listening to
major problem
Bloomberg
here,
Radio.
potentially, hypothetically, and otherwise, is that if states have the right, and this has to be settled right away, the government must get a federal law
AM
that encompasses
1130.
all of
AM
to get some
1130.
sanity out of this, because if you can
That's the
do
station.
AI legally in Delaware, where you have all your companies, so you don't pay, so you pay less taxes, because you're a very bright man besides being good looking. Why should they want to do real music and real art in New York when they can just go to Delaware and do AI? No, you need a federal law that encompasses the entire country, and I would highly recommend, and I would hope the entire planet really gets together. It's an issue for the UN to get a world body to accept it, because it's going to happen to the same thing that happened to the unions in America. You charge too much here, so we'll do business in China. No, you want to address the AI issue worldwide so we can control what the rules are, the comings and the going, and what's the income stream, who owns the IP, who's the owner of the trademark ad info. And I'd like to announce that I'm running for...
If you were a kid, you bought a guitar, you wanted to get in the music business, what would you tell them, turn and run?
Come on.
Well, I would tell anyone to do as I did, which is to say that have a fallback position. Because anything that you pour your heart and soul into has a pretty good chance, and that means likely 95% or more, you will fail. And in my case, I became a 6th grade teacher and an assistant to the editor of Vogue magazine, Kate Lloyd, and the assistant to the Puerto Rican Interagency Council, Magdalena Miranda, for the Boricua community, where I did work for a government research and demonstration project, ad infinitum ad nauseum. In other words, if your thing doesn't work out, what's the backdrop? Like, I know you took ballet lessons. If this doesn't work out,
and I've
you
lost
can
my
get up
chops.
and, do your
I'm
thing.
not keeping up with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool for you to be here, and I appreciate it very much. It is the American Music Fairness Act. That's what he came here to talk about. You don't need me to tell you. Gene Simmons, only here on Balance of Power. I hope you enjoy the rest of the trip in Washington. Many thanks for being with us. I'm Joe Matthew in the nation's capital. A conversation you will only hear, especially
Balance of Power. Okay.
And radio.
That, to me, means that there's going to be a New Balance. This is why New Balance is in these, is in the titles. Now, what's interesting there is Gene Simmons said that he was talking to the president. And we've seen tweets with Marshall talking out to the president, telling him how, like, Proton Network is ready to run the government on there. And we know also that Marshall got into the streaming thing of music and videos of music, then learned about how to make payments through streaming these musics through Bitcoin. Just find it funny now that Mr. Simmons from KISS said he was talking to Trump about how to get paid through these streaming things. Who else does streaming on their particular coins? Metallicus. I'm not saying that this is 100% connected, but I'm just saying there are a lot of coincidences popping up at the moment. And he said he can't say too much. So to me, they're talking about Proton streaming, the new Bitcoin 3.0, 5.0 at this point. That's what Proton is. And they're upgrading. They already did. Bitcoin and Ethereum. So they get their own currencies, just like XPR. I haven't seen a currency symbol yet for XRP, but I'm sure it's probably hidden somewhere. Did I watch Men in Black? No. Shit's about to get interesting for sure. My $40 million wallet. That's what's up. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful wallet there. Marshall, yeah, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he probably knows who was behind it. Either way, if he does, if he doesn't, Marshall's in his own little clique, his own little group, and he's going to be doing very well. He's going to be one of the leaders in this group, no matter what anybody else thinks. That's what I see. That's what I feel. Again, these are feelings. So, for anybody who's into crypto, a lot of people don't even fucking care for this shit anyway, But for the people who are into crypto, who got in early, this is a beautiful thing. I really think they are talking about Trump. I did a few videos showing you about, right, the globe, the world has the atom sign, the World Fair. Now, damn, I don't think it's on this phone. Let me see. I think it's on the other phone. Yeah, it's on that phone. But they just, so, for whatever reason, on the train, subs again. I don't know if the trains were big with the World Fair. I mean, we can look right now and see. Were the trains a big attraction when it came to the World Fairs?
Yes, trains were major attractions at World's Fairs. They were both impressive displays of new technology, like Pullman cars and essential transport, with visitors arriving by rail to see the innovations and ride new trains, showing off progress.
So trains were a huge attraction. So a story just came out. The FNM lines transfer, swap, flip. Okay, now look what this says here. Look what that says. See that? F and M trains will swap routes. This is recently, December 2025. M and F. Now, when I was looking at that, because they like to flip shit, this and that. That M can be a W. It could be World Fairs. I was just thinking about World Fairs. Swapping. Right? New technology coming in. Now, all of a sudden, you see like all these new truths, all these things on like frequencies, and all of a sudden like all these herbal things, and now there's more talks on like parasites and more articles on that stuff. Now I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just saying there's a lot more talks of how to clean yourself, how to be more healthy, things that were used to be called conspiracies are now being like almost major subjects being spoken about and being shown, just like medical beds and stuff like that with Elon, laying in a bed and having frequencies go through you and healing you and stuff like that. Just seems like there's a lot more talk of it than laughing at it. Yeah, so that was just like the little clip on anyway. I was just wanted to hear with the radio. So, I mean, by listening to that, he just mentioned that he spoke to the president. And I know Marshall's been hinting to the president how, like, his blockchain's an ecosystem the government can run on there. And, since Trump is all about being fair, right, or this FAIR Act, and Gene Simmons supposedly spoke to him, right, about streaming, why wouldn't it be that far off to see that Marshall could be part of that? XPR could be part of that. Then the mention kept mentioning freaking pennies. Again, Lone tweeted a penny, so you make that connection, you understand? I don't know, something big, and really enough, I was just looking at the KISS images. There was 4 of them. They were black and white as well. Same color as the WebOath wallet. So, interesting times. Anyway, that's the end of that clip right there. So, we'll see what happens. He said something about And then he said he did not want to spoil people's Christmases, which was very interesting. So I don't know how to take that. I don't know if he's saying this Christmas is going to be a Christmas, because I think he did say July. I'm going to have to rewind this and go back and listen whenever I can. And funny enough, that video is still uploading. I'm surprised it's uploading, because sometimes they just remove it out of there and it's not there anymore. So day 2 on that. But I kind of already showed what I showed back over there anyway. So even if they don't post it, you still got the scoop. You're still able to see what I was trying to show you. All right, peeps. Well, it's FOMC on trading, and I'm going to go see what's cracking, because it's about to go down in the next half hour. The market is about to make a major move in within the next hour. I say between like 2 to 2:30. So let's see. I'm going to go get ready for the move. Hopefully I'm on the right side. And catch me on the next slide. Peace out, peeps. One love. Bully Bear out.